Hi friends. Subscribe to our channel, comment a lot, give likes so that this video will be promoted by YouTube algorithms and distribute our video, and we will continue. Putin's army in the battles against the insurgents has lost half of its combat effectiveness, said the commander of the British Armed Forces Tony Ratican. The commander of the British Armed Forces said only last year during the fighting against the insurgents. Russia fired up to 10 million artillery shells, and that's despite the fact that Russia itself produces up to 1 million of them. Yesterday on the 4th July, the commander from UK Ratican voiced his opinion on the situation with the Rusarmia in Ukraine, informs the Financial Times resource. In 16 months of war, the occupiers were deprived of 500 tanks a year. They can produce about 200. Ratican also paid attention to the issue of the counterattack by the Ukrainian armed forces. He acknowledged the fact that there are many minefields in the south of Ukraine, which make it difficult to advance defenders. Also, Kiev does not have enough aviation to cover its troops from the air, and also the West has not fully provided all necessary military equipment from it is not necessary to demand the success of the Ukrainian armed forces, and at the same time, and also to give a certain deadline for this is a whole set of measures. Also note that according to the results of the last 24 hours, the Institute for the Study of War has released the following key conclusions. It seems Ukrainian forces are concentrating on creating an asymmetric gradient depletion that keeps Ukrainian live force at the cost of slower rates of territorial gains, gradually depleting Russian manpower and equipment. The current pace of Ukrainian operations does not indicate a stalemate or evidence that Ukraine cannot regain more territory either. Note the Russian occupiers have sent to war in Ukraine almost 90% of their troops. Killed or wounded soldiers of the Ministry of Defense will be replaced, mobilized, and as stated by the head of the military of the NATO Military Committee, Admiral Bauer, despite substantial losses, the Russians retain powerful fleets and aircraft. Our future defense plans are not based on the current state of forces, it is in the state before February 24. The Russians will go to replenish losses in the military, and so we have several years of time. We will never underestimate their capabilities because they have repeatedly shown in history that they know how to get on their feet. Bauer stressed that the Russians operate with great caution, with vigilance in areas that directly bordering NATO. They do not want to risk conflict with us. In addition to this report about the reorganization of the Russian internal security indicates that the Kremlin has not yet come to the conclusion that it has effectively neutralized the threats of future armed uprisings. After the uprising, Wagner Group's June 23-24 rise in power absolves financier Prigozhin from financial responsibility for the damage caused by the Wagner Group uprising and reportedly returned to Prigozhin's significant liquid assets. Reportedly, Russia is forming a new army in the Northern Fleet, likely to demonstrate its readiness against NATO. At the same time, the Russians have made limited unsuccessful ground attacks, and at the Kupiansk-Svetogo-Kremenna line in south of Kremenna, also intensified ground attacks, and in the area of Bakhmut. But despite this, the Ukrainian armed forces are advancing in these directions.